In this video, this will be the final part of the actual rigging setup. After this, we're gonna go into skinning and painting weights. Now, the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create a FK forward kinematic and IK inverse kinematic controls for the arms. Now, if we look at the left arm, we can see here that I have this little nub shape that I've created, and I'm able to only move it from 0 to 1. And if you notice, you can see that this letter F and this I icon appears. What that means is that I can switch on and off the forward kinematics and inverse kinematics. So when it's on I, the hand controller is on, which allows me to turn on the inverse kinematics from the arm, or if I turn it off, it goes right back to the beginning. So we can always flip back and forth between the two. Now I'm going to show you how I've done this on the left hand. Put this back to normal. Okay. So you want to create a few nub shapes first. You want to create something that looks like this, like some sort of a slider. You want to create a simple square and some arrows as well. And if you want to create an F and I icon, you want to go to text and you want to put anything in there, so you can put F and I. If we go down to the bottom here, oops, you see that it creates a 3D version, but you can also create curves from it as well. So you can just create a curve and you can use those wherever you see fit. Okay. Get that off. Right. First things first is what we're going to do is we're going to put the right arm IK handle and attach it to my right hand controller. Oops, need to make sure that I've renamed this appropriately. There we are. So I'm going to move the right arm inverse kinematic control under the right hand control. So now, yep, that controls that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to freeze transformations on that, so that way I can always move it back into place when I need to. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to select this forward kinematics here, make sure that we freeze transformations. And what we'll do is we'll select that, go to set driven key, go to set, load that as the driver, and get the right arm kinematic and load that as driven. And we're going to go to translate X, and we're going to make sure this is on 0. And the main thing we're going to look at on this is the visibility and IK blend. So when this is at 0, we want IK blend and visibility turned off. So I'm going to go to my right hand control here, change that to 0, change visibility to off, and key. Next, what we want to do is we want to change this to a 1 and make sure that we have visibility and IK blend selected. Put that to a 1, visibility on, and then key. So now if I move this, if you look in the hierarchy here, it should, yep, it's off now. Put this to a 1, the arm is on. Now at the moment we can kind of move this around freely, which is not what we want. We want it to go straight from 0 to 1, and it's quite a simple process. Turn this off for a second. But we want to go to the attribute editor, and what we want to do is we want to go to the first tab in the attribute editor for the FK IK control, limit information, translate, and we want to put a minimum and maximum movement. So the minimum is going to be 0, maximum is going to be 1. So that will limit our movement now. So if you look, yep, it only goes between 1 and 0. There's nothing in between. It just goes straight to those. Okay. The next thing we want to do is we're going to put in some shoulder controls right now as well. So let's make sure that we have this to 1. And what we want to do is we want to select this and the right arm IK handle. And we're going to put a constraint on there. Like we did with the leg, we're going to put a pole vector that way we can move the elbow up and down as we see fit. So go to rigging, constraint, and pole vector. So now if I just quickly move the hand, what I can do now is I can now move this up and down to control the elbow. And before we finish off, one last thing we're going to do is we're going to hide these. As you can see here, when it's in inverse, we can see this handle, we can see the handle, and we can flip back and forth between those there. And it's quite simple. We'll basically just be using the set driven keys again. So go back to animation, key, set driven key, set, load that as the driver, and what we'll do is we'll load this as the driven. And what we'll say is when this is at 0, visibility is on, but when it's at 1, the visibility will be off. Oops, wrong one. We want this to be invisible, not the other one. Okay, so now we can see that it goes on and off. And we'll basically do the same with this as well. And what we'll do is we'll select the IK icon, also select the pole vector elbow control and the hand control, and we can load all those as driven as well. And what we'll do is we'll select all of these and select their visibility, and we'll just double check this is on 1. Yep. We'll key it, then we'll just change this to 0, and on these 3 here we just change it to off and key. So now we can switch back and forth between inverse kinematics and forward kinematics. And yeah, that should be everything pretty much done and dusted now. Our character is now ready to be skinned. In the next series of videos, we'll be skinning the character and painting the weight so that it deforms appropriately. And then once you've done that, you're able to animate this. There may be some videos on facial animation as well, but for right now, we'll just be sticking with the full body one. So he'll have his dopey little face at the moment, but hopefully I'll be making some more advanced tutorials in which you can fully animate his face as well.